The trading hub of Zenith 7 was a sensory overload even for the most seasoned travelers. Thousands of species from across the Galactic Council converged here daily, their voices creating a cacophony that echoed through the massive biodome. Holographic advertisements flickered in 17 different languages, while the scent of exotic spices mixed with the metallic tang of recycled air. Jonah Reed walked through the crowded marketplace with practiced ease, his worn jacket marking him as one of the few humans who frequented this sector. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic stage, barely 2 generations since first contact, and most aliens viewed them with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The Council had classified humans as a mild concern due to their unpredictable nature and strange emotional responses. Today, Jonah was simply restocking supplies for his cargo ship. He navigated between stalls selling luminescent fruits, quantum computing cores, and what appeared to be living furniture. The market was at peak capacity, with bodies pressed close together in the narrow pathways between vendors. That's when he heard it, a small, chittering cry, barely audible above the market noise, but distinct enough to catch his attention. Jonah's head turned instinctively toward the sound. His human hearing, though not the most acute in the galaxy, was particularly attuned to distress calls. Millions of years of evolution had hardwired his species to recognize when something small and vulnerable needed help. He pushed through the crowd, following the sound. There, pressed against a stall selling bioluminescent crystals, was a tiny Velcaran cub. The creature couldn't have been more than 3 standard years old, roughly equivalent to a human toddler. Its soft orange fur was bristled in fear, and its 6 small limbs trembled as it looked around with wide, terrified eyes. "Hey there, little one," Jonah said softly, crouching down to the cub's level. The cub's triangular ears flattened against its head. "Mama," it whimpered in broken galactic common. "Can't find Mama." Jonah's chest tightened. He glanced around the marketplace, searching for any adult Velcaran who might be frantically searching for their child. The crowd flowed past like a river, indifferent to the small drama unfolding. In a place this massive, with this many beings, one lost cub could wander for hours, or worse, be trampled in the press of bodies. "What's your name?" Jonah asked gently. "Picky," the cub stammered. "Okay, Picky, I'm Jonah. We're going to find your mama, all right?" Picky's eyes, all 4 of them, blinked up at him with desperate hope. Jonah stood and looked out across the sea of alien bodies. The marketplace stretched for nearly a kilometer in every direction. Calling out would be useless. The ambient noise would swallow any shout. The station's PA system required authorization he didn't have. He could report it to station security, but by the time they processed the report and mobilized, Picky's parent might have moved to an entirely different sector. Then an idea struck him, something so inherently human that it hadn't occurred to him until now. His instructors at the Interspecies Academy had warned him about it during orientation. Humans possess certain auditory capabilities that can be alarming to other species, the Draxian professor had explained. "Please refrain from demonstrating them in public spaces." Jonah had never fully understood the warning until now. He took a deep breath, placed 2 fingers in his mouth, and whistled. Not a casual whistle, not a tune or a bird call. This was the piercing, sharp whistle that human children learned on playgrounds, that construction workers used across job sites, that shepherds employed to command their dogs across vast fields. A whistle that could cut through noise like a blade through silk. The effect was instantaneous and absolute. A Threxian merchant dropped an entire case of plasma coils, the containers clattering to the ground. A Zelthari diplomat froze mid-sentence, her crystalline hand releasing the data pad she'd been holding. A massive Korgothi, easily 3 meters tall, stumbled backward, his forearms flailing as if struck by a physical force. Across the entire marketplace, hundreds of aliens stopped in their tracks. Some covered their auditory organs. Others looked around in confusion and alarm. A few dropped into defensive crouches, searching for the source of what they clearly perceived as a threat. The marketplace, which moments ago had been a roaring flood of activity, fell into stunned silence. Jonah felt hundreds of eyes and eye equivalents turned toward him. He raised his free hand in what he hoped was a non-threatening gesture, keeping his other hand gently on Picky's shoulder. Sorry, he called out, his voice now easily heard in the silence. Lost cub, Velcaran, about this tall. He gestured to Picky. Looking for her mother. For a moment, nobody moved. Then from somewhere in the crowd, a desperate cry rang out. Picky! A adult Velcaron pushed through the frozen crowd, her orange fur disheveled, her breathing rapid. Picky! Oh, my little star! Picky's ears perked up. Mama! The cub darted forward, and mother and child reunited in a tangle of limbs and fur. The Velcaran mother looked up at Jonah with gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, she breathed. Thank you, human. I turned for just a moment. The crowd. I thought I'd lost her forever. She's safe, Jonah said with a gentle smile. That's what matters. The Velcaran mother pressed her forehead against Picky's, then looked at Jonah again. What was that sound? I've never heard anything like it. Jonah rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Just a human whistle. We use it to get attention. A Draxian vendor nearby, who had dropped an entire display of stellar maps, stared at Jonah with something between awe and horror. That was merely a whistle? I thought it was a weapon discharge. Or a distress beacon, added a Threxian, still picking up her scattered plasma coils. The crowd began to resume movement, though many aliens gave Jonah a wider berth than before. Conversations restarted in hushed tones, and he caught fragments in various languages. The human made that sound with just his mouth? No technology? Terrifying species. The Velcaran mother gathered Picky in her arms and bowed to Jonah. You have my family's eternal gratitude. If you ever need anything, just keep her close, Jonah said warmly. These markets can be overwhelming. As the mother and cub disappeared into the crowd, a station security officer, a Zelthari with official insignia, approached Jonah cautiously. Human Jonah Reed, that's me. I'm required to issue a formal warning about unauthorized sonic disruptions in public spaces, the officer said, though his tone was more curious than stern. However, given the circumstances and positive outcome, I'll log it as a justified emergency action. Appreciated, Jonah replied. The Zelthari tilted his head, his crystalline features reflecting the market lights. Is it true that all humans can produce that sound? Most of us, yeah. We teach it to our kids. Remarkable. The officer made a note on his datapad. We'll be updating our human capability files for safety protocols. As Jonah walked back toward his ship, supplies forgotten for the moment, he couldn't help but smile. In a galaxy full of species with advanced telepathy, natural armor, and biological weapons, sometimes the most effective tool was something as simple as a whistle, a sound that had echoed across Earth's playgrounds, farms, and streets for thousands of years. Humans might be newcomers to the galactic stage, but they were already making their presence heard. Literally,